Thanks to you. Next is Freedom Now.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Rapporteur on the independence of judges and lawyers for his report. In providing legal services to individual prisoners of conscience, my organization, Freedom Now, is keenly aware of the consequences of an authoritarian government's interference and misuse of its judicial system. A deeply concerning example of a member state's actions in silencing independent lawyers is the case of Sukrat Kudratov. One of Tajikistan's most prominent lawyers, Mr. Kudratov has represented numerous victims of the government's crackdown on civil society, including opposition activists, victims of police torture, and individuals accused wrongly of religious extremism. The Tajik government arrested Mr. Kudratov in July 2014 and sentenced him to 14 years in prison, later reduced by a few years. At the time, Mr. Kudratov was representing Zayed Saidov, a businessman and opposition political figure who was himself facing politically motivated charges. Mr. Kudratov's arrest came the day after he sent a letter to NGOs, the news media, and various diplomatic missions highlighting grave procedural violations in Mr. Saidov's prosecution. The letter detailed the ongoing attacks on Mr. Kudratov himself and other members of the legal team, including threats of imprisonment and death. Sadly, Mr. Kudratov's case is not an isolated incident. The Tajik government has systematically targeted independent lawyers with imprisonment and intimidation since its crackdown began in 2014. A few other examples include the two sons of lawyer Ishkak Tabarov, who are currently serving up to 13 years, Buzmerov Yorov, a lawyer representing members of the opposition Islamic Renaissance Party of Tajikistan, is also serving 26 years, which was recently extended because he criticized the government in court. Nuruddin Makamov, Mr. Yorov's colleague, serving 23 years. Mr. Rapporteur, as a former judge with the Inter-American Court, we know you understand how detrimental these actions are to the legal profession and to ensuring that Tajik citizens have proper legal representation. We appreciate your predecessor's actions on these cases, but we urge you to take additional steps to ensure that Tajikistan ends its harassment and intimidation of lawyers. Thank you.
Thanks to you.